Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sheen. I'm an Oxford and Cambridge graduate currently working as a strategy consultant in Dubai. And on this channel, we explore strategies on how to help women get further into their career, but the tips are useful for everyone. So let's get into today's video. Do you also feel like you just do not have time to read anymore? Because that's how I feel. You know, when I was packing up for my PhD, I had over 100 books that I had to donate because I could not carry them back with me to Mauritius or to Dubai. And, you know, it just meant that I had read that many books in the past 4 years while I was in Cambridge. And I enjoy reading all kinds of books, and I'm always buying new books, and I go to charity shops and I just pick up books that I think look pretty, and I end up finding some random things that I wouldn't have never found anyway. But I used to absolutely enjoy it and read all the time. But now, since I've started my job, it's been 7 months? No, it's been 8 months. But in the first 6 months, I only read 2 books. 2. One of them was the book Attached, and I've made a summary video on that. I will plug it in there somewhere. And the second one is The Courage to be Disliked, which I absolutely loved. Both books I absolutely loved, and I read them very fast. But this has been the only 2 books that I have read. I literally do not have the time, and it mostly came to the fact that I don't have the time to go out to find books to read, and then I don't have the time to read it, and I just don't have the system in place. So therefore I just keep saying I miss reading, I wish I could read more, blah blah blah, but not doing anything about it. But I do genuinely miss it because, you know, reading is so important for us, right? For all of us. Reading sparks creativity. It really helps you grow an understanding of complex matters. It even helps you grow intellectually. And it teaches you things that you can then teach others. It makes you more interesting as a person even. And for me, it even gives me content, right? So that's why it's really important that I should get back into reading. So I decided to think of ways on how I could bring back reading into my life now that I know what my current life situation is in terms of working, especially now that I'm working, right? Because I do need some sort of relaxation, because if I'm not working, I'm working on content creation or I'm hanging out with my friends, but I do need some other forms of relaxation where it's just me and not just me binge watching TV. So that's why it's crucial to bring reading back. And I've been doing some research, I've tried a few techniques and they have worked for me. So here are 5 ways that I think can help people read when they're too busy to read. So let's get into it. The first thing is get more books that you can read. And I think this is very important because my issue is I want to read, but then if I only have one book that I've bought, and I'm like, I'm not really feeling like this book right now, so then I don't read. So as Ali would say is, you know, you need to build a funnel, right? You need to put in loads of books. And you always hear from friends or like family, the book that they've read and they've liked, or you see someone on Instagram mentioning a book. And of course, there's Goodreads and all of that, where you see all of these really good books that are coming up and you have biographies. So you just see around you, there are loads of ways that you will hear about new books, but you don't have a way of collecting them and having them documented, right? So therefore, create a list of all of these books so that you always have this bank of books that you know you have heard good things about or you have been interested in for some reason, and now you want to read it at some point. Now, once you have this is a great starting point. Now, when you have time to read, the first thing to do is to filter through that funnel. And the best way to filter is using book summaries. I personally use short form to do this. Short form has thousands of summaries of very popular non-fiction books. So whenever I go through my list and I find a book and I'm like, let me just check. So I go on short form, read the 1-page summary. They summarize the key ideas into a very clear structure, and it's very easy to go through, find the main conclusion points and the main ideas that this book is trying to share. And it's enough for me to know whether I am intrigued or interested to read this book now. Have I seen enough that tells me, ooh, I really want to know more about this book? Or I feel like, meh, this is not really for me, or this is not what I thought this book would be about. So this is a great filter. Now, if I'm interested, it goes into the next level of my funnel. Or if I'm not interested, I just dump that book, right? And that's it for me now. And it makes the decision easier. If you want to try out short form, there's a link in the description box below that will give you 5 days of free full access to short form and an additional 20% off the annual subscription fee. I'm not getting paid to say this. It is not a sponsored video about short form, but the link is an affiliate link, so I get some kickback if you do join through my link. If the summary of the book you're looking for is not available on short form, then there are many other ways you can find it. Just Google. If you just type the name of the book and like summary or key points, someone somewhere has written a blog, has written something, or just their general perception of the book, you will find it somewhere. But this is the best way to have a first filter of knowing for sure whether it is worth your time to invest into this book. The second thing is, find books that you want to read. Do not read what you think you should be reading. What I mean by this is you will hear a lot of people talking about some books that become very popular, and then suddenly you feel the pressure that you need to read this book, or you start reading it and you don't like it and you still feel like, well, everyone else seems to like it. Do not worry about this, you know. If you're into some really quirky niche things and you want to read about it, just do it, you know. You need to read to educate yourself and to relax and to enjoy yourself. So pick whatever makes you happy. You know, you might find inspiration from the list of best books, etc., from Goodreads and other places, but this is just for inspiration. You need to read for yourself, right? If you read based on your own interest and what, you know, for your own pleasure, your own interest, you will find yourself making time to read, right? For example, when I read those 2 books in the past 6 months, they were entirely read within 2 days. And that's because I was so interested in these topics that I just went through it. You will make time to read it. You will enjoy it more. And that's how you stick to a book, right? So that's why just don't think about what I should be reading, or maybe this book is not for me. It's like, I should not be reading this book. I'm too old for this book. I'm too young for this book. There's none of that, right? Just read for pleasure and for educating yourself on anything. Thirdly is read more than one book at a time. And I think it works for some people to read one book cover to cover and then put it down and take another one. But I think most people find it more beneficial to actually read several books at the same time. And the reason that is because, you know, you're in different moods at different times of day, and therefore you can feel like reading different books. For example, if I'm reading something about emotional intelligence, something that, you know, that's educating me on something, I don't want to be reading this at the end of the day when I'm really tired and I want to switch off my brain and just wind down and sleep. I would like to read maybe fiction at this time, or something like a novel of some sort, right? And that's why it really depends on the time of day. But if I'm sticking to one book, this book doesn't suit my mood and doesn't suit different times of day for me, then it makes it easier for me to pick up that book and read it. And that's, again, is going to play against me when I'm trying to read a book. And furthermore, for personal development books, you might want to read a part of it and then put it into practice and then read the next part. I found myself going through personal development books from cover to cover, but then I do not put anything into practice because I learned something new and then I learned something else new and then I learned something else new, but I have not put anything into practice, and then there's just too much to try out and it's overwhelming. So that's why I would rather read a section, put it down, try to put this into practice while I read another book. And that's why I think it's much better to have different books going at the same time. And the fourth one is read digitally across all your devices, right? And I think for people who listen to audiobooks, that's already great because you always listen from your phone. You can plug it into your car, you can have it on your AirPods, you can have it playing at home on the loudspeakers, so that's easy to take that around. But if you read on a Kindle or if you read on the Kindle app, you can have that connected to everywhere again. And I think that's really great because mine is plugged into my phone, my laptop, my iPad, and the Kindle. So wherever I am, it's all synced. And if I want to read and I don't need to carry my Kindle or any specific device with me at all times to be able to read, I could just sync it up with different things and then read them. And also it means that because it's also on my phone, I don't need to carry my Kindle with me when I'm not carrying a bag out, for example. And if I'm waiting in the queue at the bank, I'm waiting for the taxi, especially here, there are usually lines to get the taxi in the mall, I just take it out and I start reading. And this means that every time I have a few minutes free, I'm reading. So I am making progress on my book and I get more invested into the book. And then I feel like I'm making progress as well. So it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm not reading anymore. Oh, it's been a while since I've taken that book. So, you know, it's going to be too much effort to get back into it. So no, I am constantly in touch with the books and therefore it's just a lot easier. So synced apps on all your devices is great, and read digitally is also good for the environment. And finally, read before going to bed. And this I'm saying to myself, because it has been proven that, you know, relaxing non-fiction or fiction books do help you relax before you go to bed. Put the day behind you, forget about all the things that didn't work out at work, and also just switch off from, you know, all the work that you've been doing throughout the day, all the things that are going crazy into your head. It's good to like pause and be absorbed by something else, and you really unwind. Especially because that's the thing though, after talking about digital books, but I have a physical book for me to read at night. And that's because I don't want to be looking at screens anymore at night, but I know that the Kindle is also very good for that. They have inbuilt all the things so that it helps your eyes and stuff before going to bed. But I like my little physical book before going to bed because I do genuinely feel like I'm disconnected from all the screens. My phone is on do not disturb, my laptop is switched off. I can just read the book and I feel my eyes relaxed and I get prepared for a good night's sleep. So here we have it, 5 tips for people who are too busy to read. I really hope that this helps you. I've tried it out and it is helping me. It's been 1 month, but I have been reading at least a few pages every day, which is great, right? Even if I also feel like even if it's 1 page a day, I feel like I am back into reading because that was not existent before. So that's really good. I hope it works for you. Let me know if it does work for you, and let me know if you have any other tips for me. Until next time, see you soon. Bye.